views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Get ready to experience the truth. Welcome to Truth Talk Radio with your host, Deb Acker. Truth Talk Radio is the hit show that will illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. Unleash your intuitive nature while Deb helps you stop looking outside yourself for value and happiness, break through patterns, and move into your authentic truth at lightning speed. Truth Talk Radio will leave you feeling lighter, help you live with more presence, passion, and clarity, and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Now here's your host, Deb Acker.
Hello, everyone. I'm Deb Acker, and you are listening to Truth Talk on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with me for the next hour as I help you experience the truth, nothing but the truth. Each week on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll have some of the most gifted, inspiring, and unique souls, speakers, and authors helping to move you into more light, love, and, of course, truth. And before we get started, I'd like to start out today's show with an intention. And my intention for today's show is that everyone that needs to hear this conversation hears it, and that you leave feeling expansive, inspired, lit up, and ready to move towards more manifestation. So with that, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Debbianne DeRose. Debbianne helps you to become more of your true self. She's the author of several popular metaphysical books, including How I Met the Man of My Dreams, A Guide to Manifesting Yours. And she serves as a mentor to conscious manifestors worldwide. And my experience of Debbianne, just reading through her book, there's just so much wisdom, so much energy, so much positive energy, and so much powerful ideas and ideas that really need to be put out into the world, right? That people need to hear. So I'm so excited to have this conversation today. And with that, I'd like to welcome Debbianne to the show. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's a double Deb extravaganza.
Yeah. Two Debs are better than one.
That's right.
Awesome. So tell me, how did you get on, I was reading through your book, but tell me, how did you get on this journey and the manifesting journey and into the magic and miracles and all the juiciness of the universe?
Uh-huh. Well, it started when I was quite young. I was really into what I call the woo-woo affectionately. Even when I was a kid, I was a very strange kid. I was like 8 or 9 years old reading books about clairvoyance and doing my book reports on those. It was the 70s, it was kind of hip. But I went like I would say almost a decade, and I kind of had spiritual amnesia, and I forgot about all the stuff that we are powerful and that we create our reality, and kind of went into some negative places before I remembered, oh, wait a minute, I do create my reality. And that was the impetus for the book, How I Met the Man of My Dreams, because I was being really negative. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm creating this, and started looking at my beliefs and what I was putting out vibrationally and turned it around. And I've always been a writer, so the writing comes naturally, but the woo-woo writing really kicked in during the midlife crisis era because I was really inspired to dive in deep and explore a lot of things, energy healing, and a million workshops and seminars and books. So I became an Uber student, and then I started writing about what I was experiencing, and I've been doing it ever since and helping people with what I learned.
Awesome. Well, and I was reading through your book, and I personally always am talking about creating a reality, and I actually just wrote an article, even related to, to the election in the U.S. and creating how we create our reality, right? And our reality really being up to us. What do you have to say to people that are sort of, kind of we'll talk just a teeny bit about the election, just to put a positive spin on it. But in terms of people that are feeling fear and fear and scared about what's happening, what advice do you have for them in the relationship of us creating our reality?
I lost my connection for a little while there, so I didn't hear your whole question.
Oh yeah. So basically, I know with the election, there's a lot of fear out there. And I just wrote a blog post about energy and patterns and really, our reality, us creating our reality. And I just was curious to hear your thoughts in terms of how that applies to the election and everything that's going on in the U.S.
Okay. Yeah, this ties in nicely to what I wanted to talk about, which is the yin and yang energies that we all have in us. And we tend to be over yangified. And part of the yang, a lot of people think, well, yin and yang, it's just feminine and masculine, but that's only one piece of it. That's one angle on it. The way I look at it, it describes our duality. Like, we're human and we're also infinite spirits at the same time. And when we're over yangified, we're sort of leaning too heavily on the human side, and we're not seeing the bigger picture about what's going on. And so that's why we get kind of upset, because we have a very limited perspective. The human perspective is small compared to the spirit perspective about what's going on. So, I mean, as far as politics goes, I mean, the answer to feeling upset is to back off and look at a bigger picture. What could be the master plan? I don't want to give people ideas, but I have my own ideas around it. But you can tap into your own guidance and ask what that is. I mean, for example, I know some people are very upset because there is an element of, for example, racism in the winning candidate, and the people follow him, and that's really scary. And my advice was, well, if you understand that racism is not cool and somebody else does not, you're a big sister or a big brother to that person. So don't be in fear, because you're only adding to the amount of fear in the world, but step up. This is a call to leadership. Think of that person as a younger brother or sister who needs a hand up, who needs to be loved and taught what is, good and what is right and what feels right and what's in alignment with spirit. So, if you know something the other person doesn't, it's not a cause for fear. It's calling you into love. It's calling you to be more of your higher self. And I think that's what's really going on in our evolution here. This is part of it. This political juncture is part of it. And it's not to be feared. It's a call for action in a heart-based way. It's a call for us to look at things differently and start being more connected with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote a part of the article was this call to, it's everything is calling us to love. And, nice. and absolutely in terms of the piece with, can we hold someone to their highest self, right? I mean, whether whoever you voted for, somebody like Trump, he needs to be held right now to his highest self. If we project onto him this idea of, a piece of who he presented himself, during the election, that ain't probably going to work out well for us. So it would be, it's much more ideal to hold him in his highest self and to hold us all in that highest self. And like you said, to lend that helping hand. We all just need more love right now, to be held tighter, to care more, to be kinder, and it's as much kindness that can be put out in the world, as you talk about even in your book, really around all the pieces around creating your reality. It's as much, we want to create a positive reality here, no matter how we feel about what happened in the election. And it's okay, what can we do to do that? Well, we've got to start putting out more positive thoughts. I mean, there's something really great about, thinking negatively and getting to be right, but that rightness is actually not really going to help us in the long run. You get to say, great, I was right here. Well, what is that right? That rightness going to lead to? It's probably not something great. And so yeah, well, and, I want to touch base with you on this, on the whole, on the yin and yang and the masculine and feminine, because I wrote an article recently as well for Elephant Journal about feminine and about feminine energy, and really, like, for women that are in the corporate world, and how they're struggling, how they can be struggling with that, with bringing in the feminine. And it was interesting because there was several comments. One person's comment, they really appreciated the article and it was really great. I had a couple of people comment where they were resistant to, they were living their from the space of masculine energy, and it was working for them, and they were resistant to the feminine. And part of what was coming up actually in both of their comments was this sort of like, it can only be one or the other. I'm either I'm either choosing masculine energy or I'm choosing feminine energy. And I'm curious to hear, like, because you started to go there, right? Where it's like that whole nice mix. How do we have that balance?
That is a great question, because it's not a static thing. It's a flowing dynamic thing. You're not just one or the other. I mean, in any microsecond, maybe you are, but the next second you could be some other mix. And when I talk about imbalances, I'm talking about like chronic, regular imbalance. Like you always do this a certain way. And, for a lot of women, the yang energy is what's called for in the workplace. And that's why so many of us are over yangified, because it is still kind of a masculine world, the business world. And, if you feel like that's what you need to be in that environment, then go for it. But that kind of energy doesn't really lend itself to your personal life. So you can be more yang at work and be more aware of, how you interact with, say, men, if you're dating or if you're looking or if you're in a relationship, because too much yang, if you want to be a woman who's with a man, it doesn't work that well usually. So, it depends on what situation you're talking about. Are you more yin or yang, and it's always a mix. The black and white thinking is really just a myth. That's not the way it is. It's an oversimplification. Our minds like to do that because it's nice and neat, put things in little buckets, but in reality, it's never that way. It's shades of gray. Yeah, exactly.
And it's so important to that there is that flow, right? It's like, never at one point where you're just like, okay, this is who I'm gonna be right now forever. I'm choosing. It's like, and I get, that we're in, obviously depending on, who you are, you've either chosen a feminine or, a female or male body, and that, and it can be easier to identify with it as such. But then there is such an importance in having that flow and being flexible and having that space for that, especially as a female, for me personally, as I move more into feminine energy, because just like what you were talking about, I got over yangified in the corporate world. And then it's like, how do I accept help? How do I lean in? How do I let a man hold space for me and just allow my feminine to come forward? And so, those are all things that as I dive deeper and deeper and deeper, it's like, it becomes easier to actually be more of that feminine. And truthfully, I really, really, enjoy it. It's beautiful. And yeah, it's an interesting, definitely a very interesting thing.
And it's important to remember that, whether you're a male or whether you have a male or female body, we both have these energies in us. And so we're striving for a balance that feels good. So, and another way I look at yin and yang, yin is more allowing and yang is more controlling. And obviously too much controlling behavior doesn't make us happy. We don't feel like our true self. We feel like a scared human. We forget that we have that bigger side of us that's infinite. So when you're really controlling, it means like you're trying to do everything yourself. You're trying to figure everything out yourself. And that leads to exhaustion and upset because you can't do it all yourself. It's not possible. And it's sort of like, the cliche male joke, like men don't want to stop and ask for directions, they want to figure it out themselves, even if it takes all day and go in a million wrong turns. So that's the extreme version of that. Like, I'm going to do this all myself. And really your higher self or the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, the bigger part of you is very willing to help, is ready to help you. So, balancing, bringing in more yin means allowing more, doing less yourself and allowing more to be done on your behalf. And it's more relaxing and you feel more in tune with yourself that way. You feel more peaceful naturally.
Yeah, well, and I love that you talk about this controlling versus that allowing, right? Because, for people that are newer to masculine and feminine energies, masculine is all about the doing. It's all about, making things happen. To me, it's all about, it's very, very much efforting and like pushing versus like the feminine, which is very like, it's like opening, it's allowing, it's receiving, it's magnetizing, and it's being. And it's like, if you just tune into, different, those come into play at different, different points in, each one of those, each of those energies is necessary at different points in our lives. And
or throughout the day or the hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In each moment, both of those things can be necessary. And when you tune into those feminine energies, though, they feel so much more relaxed and like open. It's like, and not to make the feminine right or the masculine wrong or anything like that, but it's just, they feel really good in your body. And so for anyone that's struggling, that does want to bring in, more feminine energy into the body, like, there's this open, yummy portal that, you can step into to really, open up to it and to really allow that forth. And so you gave one example of sort of how someone might be imbalanced. What are some other ways that a person might be imbalanced, and why do you think that happens? Obviously besides being kind of in our corporate world.
Well, another reason that's very common is if you had a turbulent childhood, or dysfunctional childhood, which many of us have had, and it's a natural reaction to become controlling because, if you had chaos in your early life, you might have made a commitment to yourself that said, I'm never going to let this happen again. And in order to make sure it doesn't happen, you think, I have to control a lot of the conditions and other people around me. And that makes a lot of sense from a child perspective. And, but it's time to look at that and go, wait a minute, this isn't really serving me. It's like building walls around me. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting the love I want. So it's really important to have love for yourself and have compassion for yourself and understand why you adopted these behaviors. And the same for the workplace, because it's a survival mechanism. And give credit to yourself for having that strength and adaptability to endure all these challenges and come up with a scheme that works. And at the same time, you can say, well, this scheme isn't working so well anymore, or it's not working so well in this area of my life. So I'm free to change it now. But I think the self-love component is really important. Don't give yourself a hard time about any of this, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, self-love is such an important piece as you feel into it's really, because like you're saying, it's like in every moment, it's really about feeling into what's right for you in that moment and not making yourself wrong because, a minute ago, a day ago, a year ago, you didn't know any better. So you were doing the best that you can in that moment, but it's just making the decision, like moving forward. Okay, this is what I'm choosing right now. This is how I'm going to shift. I'm going to change. I'm going to open, whatever that looks like for you, to really, allow that in. So like, how do you think, these yin and yang energies just naturally lend themselves? The title of our show is all around, becoming more of your true self. How do you think these yin and yang energies lend themselves to that?
Well, I think when they're in balance, when you are both human and infinite in spirit, when you feel both of those, then you're naturally your true self. When you feel good and you feel peaceful and powerful. And another way to look at this is intuitive versus logical ways of making your way through life. Like yang energy tends to be more logical.
Are you there? Okay, so I think we lost her, but yeah, I mean, definitely I'll touch base on what she was talking about in terms until we get her back on the phone. But basically, yeah, like, it does tend, like, the masculine side, I would say, lends itself more to that logic, because we are taught to kind of go into our minds and to really be in our minds around that, while the feminine is definitely more the intuitive, right? And so if you look at the difference of those, right? So, for the feminine being intuitive, and really, we really connect to our hearts with that, right? We really connect to just really opening. And we get taught, I mean, I know this is how I grew up, like, the mind was always right. I wasn't even really connected. I was always intuitive, and I think we all are, but I was never really connected to my intuition, right? That muscle, or intuition's like a muscle, was never really, it was never really, like, no one, as I was growing up, no one was conditioning me on how to tune in to that part of me, right? So for our whole lives, we're getting tuned in, we're getting, conditioned into, how we tune into, our mind. We're constantly checking in, right? And we kind of, it ends up becoming where it's our only guidance system, right? Where it's our only way to kind of figure out what to do in our life, right? We're like, okay, what's logical here? What is right? And what ends up happening is we end up missing out on this whole other inner guidance system, and the our inner guidance system of our intuition. And, one simple exercise that everyone can do to start to really tune into their intuition. Well, one thing is when you ask a question about a next step, or what you're choosing to do moving forward, really just tuning in and listening. The first thing that pops in, listening to that and seeing, checking in, is this my mind or is this my intuition? And really feeling, does it feel light and feel open? Because many times, if you've been conditioned to sort of tune in, many times our intuition does feel light. It does feel open, whereas our mind can feel kind of heavy. And so it's definitely something, something that is super, super important as you're looking at mind and intuition. And Debbianne, I don't know if you were able to rejoin us.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Cool. So I was just talking about the mind, and really, that's kind of mainly, as we've been growing up, that was kind of our only guidance system, right? It was the only system we used to really determine our truth, determine what was right for us. And, I was talking about how our intuition is another tool, another tool to that.
Yes. And emotional guidance is huge, is you can check in with your feelings. How does this feel? Does this feel right? Your gut feelings. And I love what you're saying, because actually one of the polarities of yin and yang, the way I look at it is yin can be more playful and flirtatious, and yang energy is more utilitarian. So I have a friend who she's really adorable, but she gets a little utilitarian. We went into a store. She was asking a clerk for a certain item, and she just sort of barked at him. Where's the blah, 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 And I thought, wow, good thing she's not looking for a partner, because that's not really yin. And yin is more laid back and flirtatious, because if you think about it, the seriousness of the ego, says, like, it makes you more utilitarian by nature. Like, it says everything's serious. There's no time for playing, and we've adopted all these silly beliefs from other people. It's not our true nature. So getting back to your true self is playful, is fun loving, and more laid back, because your true self knows that everything's all right. It doesn't have to be a big fearful situation. It's not so dire. So there's room for fun in there. And there's room for you to stop and check in with your intuition and your feelings.
Yeah, well, and I think it's so important to emphasize that, right? Because so many times, when we're growing up, we kind of almost like we get taught how to be serious. You know, we're like, it's like, okay, here's how you adult, you know, and it's like, it's totally like this whole thing of like, I'm going to adult now. Okay. Adulting means I put on a suit and I go into a room and I pretend I'm really serious, you know, and then it's like, okay, well, now I'm out of work, so now I can be a little bit more playful. But and then so many of us have been trained to even not even let that out, even when we're not in our work environments, right? Where we're constantly just like, okay, this is adults. Being an adult means taking life seriously and not, you know, and not really allowing that play in. And I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with this too, it's like part of being a powerful manifester is actually knowing how to play.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'd love to hear you expand on that, like for a minute or two before we head to break. And then I really want to go into, after our break, talk about more about becoming a powerful manifester and how we do this.
Well, I love, you know, amusement is a high vibration and everything's vibration, right? So, you know, why do gurus always tell you to have gratitude? Because being grateful is a high vibration. It's only one among many. It's not the only way, but, you know, having fun and laughing puts you in a high vibrational state, makes you magnetic to good stuff. If you think about it, like whatever you're wanting to manifest, if you already had it, how would you feel? Would you feel heavy and serious and fearful? No, you'd be psyched. You'd be celebrating and partying. You'd be happy. So it's just a matter of like matching that vibration now, you know, having fun and lightening up now.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so we're going to take a quick break here. You are listening to Truth Talk. I am your host, Deb Acker. When we return, we are going to explore more with Debbianne. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Tune in to Dynamics of Diversity Radio, scripting the new narrative for immigration with leading experts Kripa Upadhyaya and Steve Tanijo on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This show will remove the noise that often accompanies discussions on this topic and share a new perspective on the dynamics of immigration and diversity, ever reminding us that together we are all at the core of innovation, excellence, and positive change. Visit OrbitLawPLLC.com for upcoming topics. Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit ArtieHoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook. Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Tune in to The Michael Shane Show the third Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com and connect with the ascended beings to raise your vibration and manifest the life you desire. Get ready to receive healing through the transphysical mediumship of Reverend Michael Shane and the ascended beings. Visit MichaelShane.com. That's MyChael, Shane.com, and call 425-971-6632 to schedule your full healing session now.
We're back on Truth Talk. I'm your host, Deb Acker. My guest today is Debbianne DeRose, and we are exploring becoming more of your true self and yin and yang energies. Before we continue, Debbianne, can you give everyone your contact info?
Yeah, my website is Debbianne.com. Debbianne is spelled Debbianne, and that's the locus. Everything can be reached from there.
Awesome. And you had a couple of fun freebies on your site for people to check out.
Yeah, there's an ebook called Manifest Your Man, which is it's really fun. It gets your manifesting powers jump started. And there's also a checklist that makes you realize that you're a spiritual badass, which is always a good thing.
Yes, it never hurts to know that you're a spiritual badass. And speaking of such, that leads us into our next topic, which I want to talk to you about manifesting. What do you attribute to becoming a really powerful manifester? What are your top 5 manifesting powers?
Well, prioritizing my own happiness is one of them, and cultivating the art of allowing. And because, the universe wants to help you. Your higher self is ready to help you. So mostly we have to do less, not more. And, actually believe that we can be happy, just following your micro bliss, whatever it is. Like the months leading up to my big manifestation when I met the man of my dreams. So I wrote that book about, I was prioritizing my happiness. I was only doing things that I like doing. And that's sort of a paradigm shift for a lot of people. We do a lot of stuff we don't want to do. And it may seem like we have to. And maybe you have to for a little while, but some things aren't really have tos. They're just sort of routine. So everything matters because it's a vibrational thing. So anything you can do to make yourself happy, it makes you a match to what you want to manifest. Like I was saying before the break, if you think you'll be happy once the manifestation arrives, be happy now, and then you'll match it and it'll come faster. And so the allowing part is letting go, is just realizing that the actual mechanics of the manifestation or any manifestation, they're out of our human hands. They're beyond us, and that's okay. That's the design. I mean, that's the yin power, is allowing. You do your part, you do your job, which is getting your mind in order, focusing on what you want and not overly focusing on negative beliefs around it. And then you just allow it to happen. And that's it, and it'll be done if you can just back off a little bit. A lot of women try too hard. And, I realized I was doing that too. I used to be so yangified. It's funny to look back on now. I'm so different. I just went up to Portland, Oregon recently, where I used to live, and visited old friends. And, that's how you can really tell how you've changed, when you haven't seen people in a long time and they notice. But basically I was so yang in so many ways. I used to flip houses. So I was kind of cliche yang in a way. Not that you can't be a yin woman and use power tools, but that was just an example of where I was at. And when I would, if I was interested in someone, I was way too aggressive. I used to try to really control everything and communicate and contact the guy. And it just doesn't work that way at all. You just got to drop it and allow yourself to be a girl. Sometimes that's what worked for me, and I just, by following my bliss, I was doing what I wanted to do. And I went to this really cool program at the Monroe Institute. It's an exploration of consciousness. I was really excited about it. And that's where I met my man, because he was doing the same thing. We were both following our excitement. And most couples I know, and most of the clients I work with, I tell them this too, do stuff that you love doing. And that will lead you to everything you want, because it's a vibrational trail of popcorn. Don't do things that you don't like because someone said you have to. Like if you don't like online dating and you're just doing it and you're miserable, stop it, because it's not conducive to a vibrational match to what you want. It's just a should. Shoulds are problematic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with you, right? It's like, I know when I was younger, same thing for me with guys, like it was several same things, right? Like I used to I'd be like, oh, I should go to this baseball game because I might meet a guy. I don't like baseball. Like, not that I don't, I live in Chicago. I like baseball, but like, I like baseball in terms of, I like the Cubs have won, but in terms of it being part of my joy or part of something I really, am into, I'm not into it. Or I go to this party because I thought, oh yeah, that could be a way for me to meet that person. Again, if I wasn't feeling joy just to go to that party no matter what, it's not going to work. It's it totally is all about following that joy. And then too, like you said, it's learning, how do we let go once we're around, a masculine presence? How do we let go and let them lead? Just like you were talking about it a little bit, and I in the article I wrote, talked about I would basically tell a man how to date me, and I laugh about that because I'm it's true. It's okay, here's when I'm available, or call me at this time, or and it's just And it's as I keep doing and moving more and more into what that looks like, I realize there's been so many things out there. It's here's the rules, here's what you do, and here's what you don't do. And part of my deconditioning has been how do I getting out of those rules, right? What's really true for me right now versus, oh my God, I was taught you don't respond right away, or you don't ask this. How would I respond to anyone else if I was just being organic, if I was just being myself? Yeah. And so those pieces are so important when it comes to, kind of just really moving into the space of how do we be, how do we be true to ourselves? And then too, in terms of just prioritizing our own happiness, so many times, guys, I was talking to somebody the other day, and when I said to her, you basically have to when you say yes to something, you are telling the universe what you want more of. And she was surprised by that. She hadn't thought about it from that point of view, but it's so important. So if you want more happiness, if you want more joy, if you want more of the good stuff, it is all about not, moving out of the obligation and really moving, telling the universe, I want some more happy, adventurous, fun, really moments that really make me feel alive. I want those, and saying yes to those, and not saying yes to that obligation piece that we tend to get very, can be very easy to function from.
Yeah, because life is a continuum, and time's really an illusion anyway. But I mean, if you're getting involved in a lot of shoulds that are not joyful, and you attract a man, you're going to end up in a relationship with a lot of shoulds too, and that it isn't joyful. You know what I mean? Your vibration now determines what you get later, and just be in the now and decide now's the time for me to be happy. And then, if you learn to make yourself happy, then you can be happy when you're in a relationship with another person. Don't think everything's going to change once you get into the relationship. It's going to be a continuous, it's going to pick up where you left off, Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And, as part of that too, it's so funny because I think for me, as I keep lifting my abundance levels higher and higher and higher, so I've had to overcome, I was talking about actually with someone at lunch about this, but I've had to overcome my own, all the scarcity programming that I grew up around, right? It was it was just prevalent in our households. And I think a lot of people that grew up either with parents or grandparents that were in the Depression, and that just kind of got handed down from generation to generation, there was a lot of that quote unquote, like scarcity mentality, right? Or a lot of not enoughness. And, so like when I first got started on this journey, I cleared, a ton of my abundance blocks and saw my abundance increase. And now like I'm at that, the quote unquote, the next level of abundance, right? Where it's just like, just living it as is and not going at all, playing in that, like what you're talking about, where where you're putting your time, where you're putting your attention, right? So not like, basically it's like, okay, like being the abundant being that I am at all times. And so there was something that came through today, because I noticed that my old conditioning is to sort of waver back and forth from like abundance, and then it's like, oh, non-abundance, and then it's back to abundance, and then it's non-abundance. And so what I've been working on is creating how do I create a constant state of abundance, because the abundance is the truth of who I am. It's the truth of who we all are, right? Mm-hmm. And so this one thing that I've been playing with today that like is super fun. And again, it's playful and it's goofy. But what my guides were talking to me about is like, they're like, basically there's abundance everywhere. Like if you look on the street, there's tons of cars. If you look at, like, I live in Chicago, so like there's tons of cars, there's tons of buildings, there's tons of trees, there's tons of, it's like you can see abundance in all things. And so, I've been just noticing that and taking note of how much of everything there is, and now just doing a whole reprogramming on, instead of seeing any sort of lack, just like reprogramming myself to see like, oh, like, and it can go deeper into like your friendships and your relationships and, how supported you are and, all of those pieces that can go deeper into all areas of your life. But it's been a fun thing to kind of play with and be like, oh, look, there's more abundance. Like, look, it's everywhere, and I like, just in a short period of time in doing it, I'm seeing a complete rewiring of like any sort of focus on that opposite that I grew up in. So
nice.
Yeah. No, it's been super fun. You talk about manifesting, your man. What were a couple of the tools that you used to really, do you think that were the most, as I was reading your book, I was reading some of those things, but what were a couple of the tools that you really used that you think were the most powerful tools in terms of attracting this person into your life?
Well, aside from, just managing your vibration on a daily basis, that's the big thing, but specific tools. The scripting is very powerful because I had written my first book just before I met him, and it's a memoir of my real life adventure. So I'd written a sort of a PS to it. I call it the epic log, and I didn't publish that, because it didn't really come true before the book was published. But I wrote it for myself, and the epilogue or epic log was that I'd met the man of my dreams, after all these adventures. And I actually met him really soon after that. So write your story, and it's amazing how well reality can match what you write. Writing is powerful as well as speaking your story. That was one of them that's a goosebump inducing thing. And the other thing is that fake it till you be making it, which is just what it sounds like, use your imagination. Like I used to walk around I lived in this cute little town back then, and I would walk around and pretend that I was holding hands, walking around with my man. And I would just enjoy that little fantasy, and I would see other people and smile as if the two of us were, walking together. And I would just feel it as if it were real. And then later on, when he came into my life, I realized I had the real experience in the physical reality, and it was just uncanny. It was like a deja vu, because it exactly matched the feeling of my pretending months earlier. So don't be afraid to engage your imagination. It's very powerful. Yeah, no, I love that. And like one thing that had come in, like this was a while ago now, but so many times, I know when I was younger, I had conditioned to sort of like, there was like a jealousy or a resistance when I would see couples, right? And then what shifted, and I started to shift it, and it was like this gratitude, right? It's like, oh, that like proof that love was out there, proof that, it was for everybody. And like, just, I used that to really bring in a lot of gratitude just to see all that love and how much love is around all of us if we choose to see it, choose to believe it.
So, no, I thought that was really, really cool. And how do you think, I got a sense just from, looking through your book that like, basically it seems to be like your life is just in a guidance. It feels very guided and it feels like it's in a flow. Outside of obviously with some of the things that we've talked about, is there anything else that you attribute to that?
Well, I've had periods in my life that weren't so flowing, and I can see the difference, and that's what I mean by being your true self is when you're allowing that flow of guidance and you're following it on a regular basis, then you feel good. You feel like that's who you are. You're meant to be guided by your higher self, your higher mind. So for me, it's like the contrast shows that that's true. And, don't ever give yourself a hard time. If you fell off the wagon for a while, it's all right. It's all part of it. That's what I meant by the shifting energies. It's always back and forth. Even like what you were saying earlier, you move into abundance and then you go back into scarcity sometimes. It's kind of like the yin and yang energy shifting. The sands are constantly shifting. So the main thing is not to resist any of it, to just accept and love yourself wherever you're at. Okay, well, I'm having scarcity thoughts right now. Okay, that's fine. I'd like to change that. Don't resist it. Don't feel like it's, something scary that you have to sweep under the rug, because that's not going to be helpful at all.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's like, it's this piece of like, it's really important, especially really important, with everything that's going on right now, but it's like, we are always being supported. Even it's like when bad things are happening, quote unquote, bad things are happening, or, we're like, oh, I didn't want that to happen. Or, you don't say, for instance, you don't get the job you wanted. Right. Or, the guy that you like doesn't call for another date. It's like all of that. It's this reframe and really recognizing that all of that, even those things that you might define as bad, is in full support of you.
Yes. And especially with the guy thing, if he doesn't call back, be glad he doesn't call back, because he's obviously not your man. You don't want to get involved with someone who's not your man. It'll just waylay you. So just be like, oh, good. That one got sorted out. I'm so glad,
Yeah, exactly. Another one bite. I just heard intuitively, another one bites the dust. but yeah, no, it's like, it really is all about recognizing no matter what's happening in every moment, that it's always supporting you. And you might not be able to see it in that moment or even a day or two, a week later, but from the higher perspective, eventually you will. And from the higher perspective, it is absolutely, 150%. Yeah, exactly. It's all good. It's all good. Well, and I always say too, like, it's a kind of a big spiritual concept, but it's like, when we're not in our physical body, like when we're just in an energetic state, it's like, it is all good up there, right? Like there's not really, you don't have that contrast. So it's just like, you think of something and it just happens. You're like, you're the powerful being that we all have the potential to be down here as well. And I always say, it's like, if we wanted it to be all good, we wouldn't have come down in physical form. We would have just stayed up there. It's like, why would I come into my physical body? We came here to actually have the contrast.
Right. I think we were bored, actually.
yeah, totally. Because it's like, when, it's like, it's great when it's like easy and stuff. But if it was just only easy, if there was just no challenge at all in any one moment, it wouldn't be fun. There wouldn't be half the fun. So
and that's why we're spiritual for coming. So put that in perspective,
Exactly. So actually in our final segment, what I'm going to do is a vibration activation. And so Debbie, actually I'll have you, Debbianne, if you can mute your line. But basically what we're going to do in this final segment is I'm going to basically do a vibration activation, and we're going to do a clearing around some of the patterns and some of the things that were brought up on today's show. And so for those of you guys who are new to vibration activation, what we're going to do, and I'm going to walk you through this step by step, but we're going to go ahead and just bring light all the way through the body. And then once we've gotten light all the way through the body, I'm going to have you expand that light out 5 feet, 10 feet, all the way out to the entire universe. And again, I will walk you through this step by step. And then I might just say something like, we're everywhere where you're, in black and white thinking. And you want to just exhale that out of your body. And, I'll give you something positive to breathe in, like expansiveness, openness, light. You can choose that, or you can choose something else that, that's positive if there's another thing that resonates with you. And so with that, just go ahead and start by just taking a nice deep breath and just placing your feet nice and flat on the floor. Your eyes are closed unless you are driving or operating heavy machinery, in which case do not close your eyes. But for everybody else, just taking a nice deep breath, just breathing in through your nose and just filling your belly and the sides of the body, the chest and the legs with air. And just exhaling out. Just one more time, just taking a nice deep breath, just breathing in through your nose and just filling your belly and the sides of the body, the chest and the legs with air. And just exhaling out. And just connecting to the light that's 300 feet above your head. And we naturally do this when we pray. So just see, sense, or feel that light, whatever comes up for you naturally. You're going to just start by imagining this liquid light coming down through your forehead, down past your eyes, moving this liquid light down past your nose, down past your ears, moving this liquid light down into your mouth and into your throat, moving this liquid light across your shoulders and down into your heart. Good. And moving this liquid light down into your stomach and into your hips, and moving this liquid light down your legs and out through your feet. And just connecting into the center of the earth that feels like mother's love. It's all ooey and gooey and warm and nurturing. Good. And just allowing this liquid light to come back up through your feet, seeing it coming up through your legs, up through your torso, and up through your face. And one more time, just a liquid fire hose of light, like a liquid hurricane of light just coming down into your face, down your neck, across your shoulders, down your back, good, down your arms and out through your fingertips, down your hips, down your legs, and out through your feet, and back up through your feet, up through your legs, up through your torso, and up through your face, and just expanding that light from above and below, expanding that light out into the room that you're in, and just allowing yourself to open, expand, and breathe. And expanding that out into the entire building that you're in. So just see that light covering the entire building that you're in, wherever you are. And allowing that liquid light to come out past the entire city that you're in. Again, wherever you are located, just seeing that liquid light coming out past the entire city. And now allowing that liquid light to come out past the entire country. Just super, super, super big. Just see it covering the entire country, wherever you're located. And now expanding out past the entire world, just super, super, super big, just open, expanding, and breathing, and open, expanding, and breathing, and out past the entire universe, past all the planets, past all the galaxies, just open, expanding, and breathing. Just see that light expanding out past the entire universe, just open, expanding, and breathing, and open, expanding, and breathing. Just everywhere you're not prioritizing your own happiness, everywhere you're not putting yourself first, everywhere you're not prioritizing yourself, everywhere you're not prioritizing your own happiness, just exhaling that out of the body and just breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, and breathing in joy. And breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, breathing in joy, breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in love, breathing in joy. And everywhere you're not letting go, right? So everywhere you're not allowing yourself to just let go and trust, just exhaling that out and breathing in trust and breathing in truth and breathing in light. And again, breathing in trust, breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in trust, breathing in truth, breathing in light, and breathing in trust, breathing in truth, breathing in light. And everywhere you're moving from obligation, so everywhere you're moving from your I have to do this, versus doing it because it brings you joy, because it brings you happiness, because it feels light and right. Just exhaling that out of your body. And again, just breathing in light and breathing in joy and breathing in truth and breathing in light, breathing in joy, breathing in truth, knowing that the universe wants everything that you're doing, wants you to find joy and happiness from every single thing that you're doing. So just again, breathing in that light, breathing in that joy, breathing in that truth, breathing in light, breathing in joy, breathing in truth. And just everywhere that you're not allowing and you're blocking your receiving. So just everywhere you're not allowing and you're blocking your receiving, just exhaling that out and breathing in abundance breathing in receiving, breathing in truth, breathing in light, breathing in abundance, breathing in receiving, breathing in truth, breathing in light, and breathing in abundance, breathing in receiving, breathing in truth, and breathing in light. Just wherever you are, just taking a nice deep inhale and exhale, and just feeling your body back in the room, wherever you are sitting. Just gently coming back into the room, gently opening your eyes, and just taking one more nice deep inhale and exhale. And with that, I want to thank my guest today, Debbianne DeRose, for sharing such great information. And I want to thank you all for tuning into Truth Talk. I always love hearing from my audience. If you have a comment on the show or like to introduce yourself, you can send me a note on the contact page of my website at deboraacker.com. And there you can also sign up for my free Living in Your Truth guide. And in 3 weeks on Truth Talk, on the first Wednesday of December, we'll have Stacy Warner talking about many things, including her coaching work with horses, which I had the privilege actually to experience a few weeks ago. So in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your month and great Thanksgiving holiday, and I'll look forward to talking with you next time.
Thank you for listening to Truth Talk Radio with your host, Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio every Wednesday at 3 Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com and experience the truth of who you are and who you came here to be. Each week, Deb interviews an inspiring guest and illuminates the truth to a wide range of topics, including love, life, purpose, career, consciousness, and abundance. Welcome to the world of infinite possibilities. For more information about Deb, including how to contact or work with her, visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com. Look forward to seeing you next week for more Truth Talk Radio.